Metal Man, sponsored by Metal Street Radio. Crank it up!
Hello, Metal Matt here. Here with an absolute guitar legend today. It's the Shredding Master. It's my personal all-time favourite guitarist.
Absolute legend, KK Downing.
Matt,
Nice to meet you, KK.
you too, mate. Thank you for coming up to Wolverhampton and welcome to the Steel Mill.
Personally, to me, one show that I've watched over and over, I could like repeat it, you know, it's the Live Vengeance 82. To me, that's metal, that's the most metal performance. A lot of people rate Queen as one of the best performers and at different gigs and stuff, but I've watched that performance over and over, and I just think nothing's ever compared to that specific performance. Any good memories of that show or anything spring to mind?
It was good. It was really good.
Yeah.
You know, we were pretty much in the margins of our peak, really then. Yeah. Again, I talk about when bands are out there doing what they do with kind of a free spirit, without anything affecting them. No. You know, because I talk about, like, obviously the great Jimi Hendrix, fortunate enough to see him, you know, in the short window we had with his lifespan. I managed to see the front half. You know, I saw him play concerts and he would go out there completely unaffected by the business, you know, drugs or whatever else might have came in, you know, but it's kind of documented now. I've seen some documentaries where Hendrix was troubled before he died. You know, he was involved with people that were kind of pretty heavy, you know, in management, heavy. And it kind of affected him later on. Seemed to be he was affected, you know, but I saw him play, as I keep saying, as a free spirit. And you see Judas Priest in those days as a complete free spirit. You can tell that these guys on this stage are doing exactly what they want to do. And they're loving it. You know, whereas later on, towards the end of my, you know, participation, you know, you could, you know, it's almost like, you know, we become affected by various things. Probably affected by the sheer fact that we're out there and we've been doing this for as long as we have. Whereas on that video there, we hadn't been doing it long enough. Can't get enough of it, and it shows in the performance, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's something I missed. I missed that.
Yeah, that's understandable. Although there was other reasons for your leaving, do you think partly because you had other thoughts going around in your head, do you think, you know, unless you're feeling that freedom like you did, say, on that 82 show, do you feel like that's a reason for you to step out as well? Because unless you're feeling that
exactly, it's exactly that. And I've got to say, we were like that. We felt that we were up, and we got further to go, which we did. And then you go over the, you know, you reach a kind of peak, and there's kind of, you hate to admit it, you know, but there's some kind of decline where we're looking older, not as fit, not as, you know, I always had a saying, the older we get, the younger we've got to play, you know, and that's how I felt about it. But it wasn't really happening.
No, do you think a lot of bands should take on that thing, like these bands who keep going, and I won't name names, but a lot of these metal bands are, it's a new tour, and you kind of hear that they're not really wanting to do it. You know that it's like, this is the last tour, and then something makes them do another last tour. Like, do you think they should just, if they're going to do a last tour, that's it? Or do you think flog it out to death or not?
Well, it's like anything else. I mean, we heard that, you know, Sabbath did their, you know, it was a final thing, but Ozzy's going out again with Priest supporting. That's going to be a good ticket, you know. That's going to be a good ticket. You know, Never say never, never say die. What can I say? Is that a song title? Because it's hard to think of song titles these days. You know, we've heard never say never, and we've heard never say die, but never say never, never say die. Combined, I can almost see it in my head now.
Metal Maps, sponsored by Metal Street Radio. Crank it up!